Before we start, you probably believe your baby needs big, elaborate moments to feel loved. Expensive toys, perfectly planned activities, Pinterest-worthy sensory bins. Here's the undercut. None of that is what your baby's brain is actually asking for. What's actually happening is smaller, quieter, and far more neurological than most parents realize. Every time you interact with your baby, you're not just entertaining them, you're literally wiring the architecture of their nervous system, shaping how they'll regulate stress and connect with people for the rest of their life. And one of these 7 things, the 5th one, is something almost every parent accidentally stops doing by 6 months old, right when it starts to matter most. This isn't about guilt. You're already doing more right than you know. Hi, I'm Dag from Everyday Family, and in this video, we'll talk about 7 things babies love that only about 2% of parents actually do consistently. Let's start with the first one, letting your baby smell you before anything else. When you pick up your baby, your instinct is to talk, to make eye contact, to entertain. This looks like simple affection, but psychologically, it's your baby running an identification check before anything else registers. A newborn's sense of smell is remarkably developed, and researchers studying skin-to-skin contact, including physician Nils Bergman's work on what's often called kangaroo care, have found that a baby held against a parent's bare chest regulates their heart rate and breathing more easily than a baby who isn't. Their nervous system quite literally borrows yours to steady itself. You haven't been doing anything wrong by dressing your baby before holding them, but tonight, try a few minutes of skin-to-skin before bed, even for just 10 minutes. Watch what it does to their breathing. The second thing, talking to your baby in that sing-song, exaggerated voice you might feel embarrassed using in public. This looks like silly baby talk, but psychologically, it's one of the most powerful language-building tools you have. Linguist Patricia Kuhl and her team at the University of Washington's Institute for Learning and Brain Sciences have studied what's called parentes, the slower, higher-pitched, exaggerated speech pattern parents naturally fall into, and found it helps infants distinguish individual speech sounds far more effectively than normal adult speech does. Your baby's brain is sorting through a wall of noise, and that exaggerated rhythm is a signal flare that says, "This matters. Listen here." You're not silly for talking that way. You're doing exactly what their brain needs. So the shift is simple. Stop editing yourself around other adults. Let the voice come out. The third thing, waiting after your baby babbles instead of immediately jumping in. This looks like a pause, maybe even an awkward gap in conversation, but psychologically, that gap is the whole point. Harvard's Center on the Developing Child calls this dynamic serve and return. Your baby babbles or gestures, and when you pause and respond, you're completing a loop that builds the neural circuitry for communication and relationship itself. Skipping the pause doesn't ruin anything, but adding it back in, even a beat or two of genuine waiting, turns an ordinary coo into a conversation. Try it today. The next time your baby makes a sound, wait 1 full second before you respond. The fourth thing, making the same face back at them over and over, even when it feels repetitive. This looks like mimicry, almost like a game, but psychologically, it's identity formation. Developmental psychologist Andrew Meltzoff, also at the University of Washington, found that infants only days old can imitate facial expressions, sticking out a tongue, opening a mouth wide, which suggests babies come into the world already primed to recognize that's me and that's you, and we are connected. When you mirror your baby's expression back at them, you're confirming that connection is real and reliable. There's no such thing as doing this too much. The actionable shift is almost embarrassingly simple. Next time your baby makes a face, don't just laugh, make it back. The fifth thing, the one I mentioned earlier, staying present and responsive even when your baby isn't doing anything cute. This looks like a lull, a boring stretch where nothing photogenic is happening, but psychologically, this is when trust is quietly being built or quietly being eroded. Developmental researcher Ed Tronick's still face experiment showed something striking. When a parent goes emotionally flat and unresponsive, even for a couple of minutes, infants become visibly distressed and only calm back down once the parent re-engages. Most parents aren't going still-faced on purpose, but phones, screens, and sheer exhaustion pull us into those flat moments more than we realize, especially past the newborn stage when the cute urgency fades. You are not failing if you space out sometimes. Every parent does. The repair matters more than the rupture. So the actionable shift isn't perfection, it's simply noticing when you've checked out and re-engaging, even with something as small as a smile. If this is giving you a new way of seeing your child, this is exactly what we cover every week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. The sixth thing, letting your baby struggle for a few extra seconds before you swoop in to fix it. This looks like neglect if you're not used to it, like you're withholding help your baby clearly needs. But psychologically, that small window of struggle is where confidence starts to form. This connects to the broader idea of a secure base, rooted in attachment research going back to Mary Ainsworth. A child who knows you're there, but who's given a little room to work something out themselves, tends to develop stronger internal coping tools than a child who's rescued instantly every time. You're not being cold by pausing, you're communicating, "I trust you to try." Today, the next time your baby fusses over a toy that's just out of reach, count to 5 in your head before helping. And the seventh thing, repeating the same songs, stories, and phrases far more than feels necessary. This looks like laziness, like you've run out of new material, but psychologically, repetition is exactly what builds the neural pathways for language. Researcher Rachel Romeo, who has studied what's sometimes called language nutrition at MIT, has pointed to the importance not just of the number of words a child hears, but of genuine back-and-forth conversational exchanges. And familiar, repeated language gives babies a stable base from which to start experimenting with new sounds themselves. You don't need a new book every night. The 10th reading of the same board book is doing real work. So tonight, instead of reaching for something new, just read the one you already know by heart. So, notice how you're feeling right now. If there's a small ache in your chest, a mix of tenderness and maybe a little regret about moments you've missed, I want you to reframe that immediately. That's not guilt, that's attunement. Guilt says you're failing. Attunement says you care enough to keep learning, and that itself is the thing your child needs most. You don't have to do all 7 of these perfectly every day forever. You just have to be a good enough parent, present more often than not, repairing more than you rupture. That's the whole game. If this changed how you see your baby even a little, send it to another parent who needs to hear it today. Somewhere right now, your baby is waiting for that same face you always make, that same song you always sing. Go give it to them. I'll see you in the next one.